The Altai Mountains span an elevation of 1,000 to 3,000 meters, with the highest peak, Friendship Peak, reaching 4,374 meters. The Altai Mountains stretch for over 2,000 kilometers across China, Mongolia, Russia, and Kazakhstan. The Altai Mountains in China are situated in the southern region of the central section, spanning a total length of over 500 kilometers. The Irtyx River, which is the sole river that flows into the Arctic Ocean from China, and the Ulunga River, the second largest river in Altai, both have their origin.
La estación de Junta está un poco alejada de la ciudad y se ubica en una antigua mina de oro. Uno sabe el montón de datos que existe, además de que se forma una red mundial.
We are on schedule with calibration.
You know, the time I will send today.
Una explosión en cualquier parte del mundo, la red tiene que ser capaz de capturarla. La sismología lo que le va a decir es si es una onda típica de una explosión nuclear. El lugar se lo puede decir con más exactitud, el tipo de magnitud fue tanto, cantidad de kilotón fue de tanto, o sea, le va a decir eso. Ha habido mucho cambio de tecnología, entonces eso es uno de los objetivos del CTBTO, construir las capacidades de los países. ¿Y cómo se aprende? Con cursos.
I want to draw your attention.
Claro que nos ayuda en el trabajo de nosotros aquí. Todas las capacitaciones con programas de localización nosotros usamos para saber cuál es la amenaza que existe en el país.
We live in the global world with global issues, and global issue cannot be dealt with only a handful of countries because they traditionally deal with those technologies. And if you want an issue that's dealt with by the whole planet, you can have a forum where people sit and then a handful make decisions and others follow. And the emerging countries, we need their participation. We need to educate people on this technology that lead to the verification of the CTBT.
Viéndolo en el país, uno se siente solo, pero sabe que es un grupo internacional que le está poniendo un punto final a las explosiones nucleares. Para el país es importante que se siga monitoreando y que quiere darle un fin a las explosiones nucleares. Queda uno contento que está contribuyendo para el mundo, para la paz.
Welcome to another episode on Startups. I am Tamilore Akinkolie. On this episode, we'll be talking about the automotive industry in Africa, which dates back to the 1950s and consists of the production of passenger cars and commercial trucks. Now, the African automotive market is expected to grow rapidly due to supportive government incentives and increasing urbanization in major countries in the region, which are encouraging infrastructural development in the region, thus creating a positive outlook for the market. AutoCheck is an automotive technology development company that builds solutions aimed at enhancing and enabling commerce within the automotive sector. It provides solutions that improves access to auto loans and lots more. The company has helped increase the outlook of the automotive market in Africa. Now let's see how they've helped in growing the automotive industry together.
We're also customizing in terms of our base, our application base. So when we see there's a need for a specific, we're nimble enough to actually develop a new product over about 2,000 dealers over the continent, to make that relationship, make that journey for the customer a lot better. I think the base of success for us is customer service. My name is Van der Merwe. I'm the CEO of AutoCheck Financial Services.
Africa's automobile market is among the most underdeveloped in the world. Apart from South Africa, Morocco, Egypt, and Algeria, the automotive market of the continent is considerably small in comparison to elsewhere in the world. To help change the narrative of the continent's automotive industry, AutoCheck is building digital solutions that will enable a seamless and safe automotive commerce experience across Africa.
AutoCheck basically was established as a digital marketplace, bringing, partnering with dealerships, to firstly list their vehicles, inspect their vehicles, and then be the intermediary between the customer, insurance companies, and financiers to actually enable mobility for the customer. The one thing that we wanted to achieve is to enable a mobility solution for all customers, to make the journey in terms of acquiring a vehicle comprehensive and easier. So what we've done is, through our marketplace and through our partnerships with dealers, we basically inspect the vehicle, we identify if it's a good vehicle or a bad vehicle, all right? We identify all the issues that's involved in that vehicle. And as we go through the journey, we offer the customer a comprehensive transaction. So that includes tracking, it includes a maintenance plan on that specific vehicle. We include insurance. And then I think one of the competitive advantages that we're building on is to make that journey seamless and quick for the customers.
Running in about 8 African countries, AutoCheck uses technology to transform the automotive buying and selling experience for African consumers by creating a single market for consumers' automotive need, from sourcing and financing to after-sales support and warranties.
But what we've done is we've automated the process very well. We have established ourselves in 8 markets. We've, my real aim was to get the right people in the right positions, to get the systems that would enable, a smooth customer journey, and then thirdly, to look at the process that we implement in the African environment. And I think we've accomplished in a little bit of a year, we've actually accomplished a hell of a lot. We are going to probably announce some of our funding and debt initiatives that we've embarked on a few months ago, and we've been successful in that respect. I think our penetration, our interaction with our dealer partners has gone up threefold. And the fact of the matter is we are going to assist our dealers with new products, with wholesale finance, all those kind of things to actually make this journey better.
In 2022, AutoCheck also launched its financial service, which started to provide a range of financing solutions for customers and business owners. The service partnered with car dealers and other service providers, streamlining the process where they can finance their sales of their vehicles.
As the intermediary, as our marketplace actually interacted with financiers and wanted to promote this mobility offering, we recognize that banks firstly don't understand the asset, okay, the vehicles, and they don't necessarily trust the dealer. So the approval process took a very long time. So there was a gap in the market, gap in the offering, and that is when we decided to actually do financing ourselves, okay, and so the financial business has been going for just about a year, and through that we've obviously we're in most of the markets that our marketplace is in, and off the back of that we finance vehicles for customers.
Partnering with over 2,000 dealers, AutoCheck not only provides a platform where customers can get the perfect vehicle, it also stands as an intermediary between vehicle owners and insurance companies, giving their customers a seamless experience.
I think that is definitely part of what we want to offer. We're also customizing in terms of our base, our application base. So when we see there's a need for a specific, we're nimble enough to actually develop a new product that suits that market. We're obviously working very closely with our dealer base, which is at this stage over about 2,000 dealers over the continent, to make that relationship, make that journey for the customer a lot better. I think the base of success for us is customer service, and to actually enable. I think through that there is a lot of opportunities. There's opportunities in making a better offering in terms of insurance, and better offering in terms of interest rates, and all those kind of things that we're building towards to make this more affordable, easier, and a better experience for all customers out there.
One of the basic challenges the company faces is the low penetration of vehicles and car density in Africa. Unlike every other continent, the African automotive market is relatively small. For a continent with over 1 billion inhabitants, it only occupies 1% of the global new vehicle sales market.
We have a few challenges in Africa. One is a very low credit penetration. As I said, banks, financiers are very reluctant to finance assets because they don't understand vehicles. And the second thing is a very low car density in the African environment. So for just some stats, for a continent with over 1 billion inhabitants, it only occupies 1% of the global new vehicle sales market. So, we are a very big continent, and we're lagging in terms of new vehicle sales. Then if you have a look at the car density, we about 44 vehicles per 1,000 adults in Africa. Now, that compared to the rest of like Europe and the rest of the world, that runs about 180 vehicles per 1,000 adults. Now, also bear in mind that some of these countries like America, Europe, have very good transport systems, where Africa, it's obviously, as we know, it's lacking. So in terms of that, I think our car density and our credit penetration together is not conducive to a very good market, and that's a gap that we're trying to fulfill.
Looking forward to getting established in other African countries, regardless of their different operational rules, AutoCheck looks forward to harnessing the largely untapped potential in the automotive sector to be a final frontier for automotive growth.
You know, we've established ourselves in 8 countries. That is obviously it's Egypt, Morocco, Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and Uganda. What we wanted to do is stabilize those countries, okay, and through the main hubs or the main centers, which is around the economic hub. As we build out our offering, we would obviously go into the broader market in those countries and build out our customer base through that. Right now, we have a very diverse and obviously big customer base. I think, as I said, we partner with over 2,000. We've got a footprint of over 2,000 dealers that we deal with, and we list a substantial number of those dealers' vehicles on our marketplace. So, from a customer point of view, I think there's obviously the potential in Africa is almost unlimited at this stage because there's no real solution other than the one that we offer.
With the global value chain already undergoing a shift, AutoCheck not only makes mobility seamless for Africans, but also helps to increase the economic growth and value of the African continent. Welcome back. For those just joining us in this episode, we are focusing on the automotive industry in Africa. Now, even though there is no accurate data on the number of tricycles in Nigeria, some estimates put the number at over 1 million. And almost all of them are used for commercial purposes to convey passengers from one point to another, and sometimes they are used to convey goods from one point to another. Now, generally, these tricycles run on petrol. But a Nigerian man looks forward to making the mode of transportation electrical. Let's see how far he has gone in his feats.
The difference between this and the regular one is the regular one uses gasoline. That's one. Then secondly, the regular one costs more to operate. Because on the average, a user, a driver who drives a tricycle, for instance, spends about 2,000 naira every day on fueling, which is equivalent with the same day that is equivalent to if the driver was using our electric version. You will spend 800 naira instead, which is at over 60% cut in the cost. What Innoson is doing is something great, and that's something that we should encourage more people to come into. My name is Chukwemeka Eze, and I'm a co-founder of Revive Earth Limited.
Tricycles are simply ubiquitous in the country. There is hardly any part of Nigeria where you don't find tricycles because it has become an important and integral mode of transport in Africa's largest economy. Now, these tricycles run on petrol, but one young Nigerian engineering graduate is on a mission to convert petrol-driven tricycles in the country into electric-powered ones, thereby cutting out the emission from tricycles in the country and at the same time save owners and drivers from spending on petrol.
It has been a dream, a vision to be part of the energy industry. And then the entire vision came with who I've always been. From childhood, I've always been enthusiastic about how stuff works. I always wanted to get hands-on, to play a role, and having that feeling of a creator. The Revive Earth Limited is a startup, an e-mobility startup that is based in Enugu, Nigeria. And we're focused on making vehicles that are running on gasoline to run on electricity, on pure electricity. So, and we are doing this with existing vehicles. So we take existing vehicles and we convert them to electric. Existing vehicles are powered by gasoline. And then we have also come up with a kit that can be used to do this. And we are training people already on these skills so that we can have these agents scattered everywhere who are helping us with this retrofitting instead of building factories everywhere.
Learning online and seeing the innovation from the existing electric vehicle organizations, coupled with the depreciating rate in the petrol reserve in Nigeria and the unannounced opportunities in the country, Chukwuemeka saw the future wave in electric vehicles and ventured into it.
Most of the activities in school were not hands-on. They were like mostly theoretical. Even when we go to lab, we were giving scores. We were giving values to go and plot graph and stuff like that. It didn't involve holistic research, and I didn't know what holistic research was. My heart was yearning for it. So, and I was doing it without even knowing what it was. So I would engage in projects, build circuits that just to feel it, see it work, and have the feeling, that good feeling that I've been able to create something. I always wanted to create things. So right from my third year, it was my second year that I got my own computer. Then I started digging deeper and deeper and deeper through the internet, YouTube, blogs, and all of those things. I started seeing the works of Tesla, the works of all these automobile companies in America, in the whole of Europe. And I was fascinated by the electric vehicles. Then the electric vehicles were already ubiquitous. Tesla was doing a great deal of work, and I saw their work as some serious innovation, something that would be the new world, the new way of transportation. And I quickly saw that there's a future of transportation in it, in the sense that it will be easier to build a robot car that is run on electricity than the one that runs on gasoline.
Seeing himself as a key player in the industry by bringing people out of poverty, Chukwuemeka started by building a power automation tool that helps to optimize the energy consumption of solar systems.
Where I started was to build power automation tools that just help to optimize the energy consumption of solar systems or even regular electricity systems. So that if a consumer were to plug these systems to their houses, they will not have much difficulty in switching from one source to another. And considering that there will be many sources, so that if I wanted to switch from solar to NEPA, I'll do it when I need to do it, when I know that I'm maximizing either of the two. So if there is big sunlight, I'll switch to solar.
Before conversion of each tricycle, Chukwuemeka and his team ensures that the tricycles are in good working condition to guarantee that the new components added to the new model are fit for people who make use of it.
Inside there, they make ready every kit. There are some components that we need, not just the electric motor or the battery. There's the controller that I told you already is like an inverter. It's essentially an inverter. So all the testing that connects these components to the electric motor, that connects the battery to the electric motor using these components, they are all tested here inside before they are brought out. So before a vehicle is ready to be worked on, we access everything. We access the state of we lose the engine entirely, take it apart and study everything and be sure that the integrity of the components are still intact. If there's any component we need to move out of the engine, we'll move it. Even if those ones are not necessarily the ones that we will remove entirely. There might be some parts that are weak already, like some gears that have eaten up, their teeth have eaten up, or the fiber may not be very effective anymore. So we replace all of those components on the engine and wash it well, clean it, and sometimes we repaint it as well. And then as well the vehicle body, because it has been exposed and used for a long time, we also clean up the engine, the entire vehicle, and then make it ready for some fabrication, because there are some fabrication work, some welding, cutting, drilling that goes on inside it before we bring the kit out. So all those like where the battery will sit and where the controller will sit, how the electric motor will couple to the new transmission that we're going to produce after the cleaning. All those things are arranged on the vehicle. The major components in the new system is both the electric motor and the battery. The battery being the power source now, and the electric motor being the engine. So everything that is attached to it is what helps to take the power from the battery in the way it needs to the electric motor, and to ensure that there is adequate control. If I want to speed up, I'm able to do that. If I want to reverse, I'm able to do that. If I want to brake, I'm able to do that, and all of those things. So what we take out essentially is everything that has to do with the combustion system, like the piston and everything that is attached with it, and then all those timing systems to make sure that to connect the ignition, that's the spark plug system, to time it with the engine, the piston, the rotation, and so on. All of those things are removed.
For electric cars to work in any country, then electricity has to be readily available. Unfortunately, Nigeria can't boast of having a constant supply of electricity. In Nigeria, almost 80% of those with access to electricity power gets less than 12 hours a day, and about 47% of the population don't even have access to power at all. And this challenge has made Revive Earth Limited to come up with an electricity charging infrastructure that is not dependent on the current electricity generation in Nigeria.
We've come up with a system now that is not going to be so heavily dependent on the present generated electricity for the country as a whole. We're looking at going into solar and all the other combined renewable energy sources that we can harness and easy to charge to power the charging stations. We call our charging stations, instead of having large charging stations where you have like multiple stands inside one, we have a simpler version where we can have it distributed across a large area. So instead of having 10 in the place, we have that 10 along at strategic places along a route, or maybe at different routes, and we call it the swapping booth. So these swapping booths will now hold batteries, charged batteries, or they are able to just, if you want, you could just slide in your batteries there and they'll charge, and then afterwards you can take them out from there and continue your business. Or you can come there whenever your battery depletes, and then when you match your battery ID to the battery there on the booth, you're able to take a charged battery and then put your own there, because your own would have been ascertained to match the exact specification of the one in the booth.
Funding the booth which he plans to put in strategic areas seems to be a difficult task for Revive Health, and has streamlined their process of production, which involves not getting sophisticated machines for production. According to Chukwuemeka, getting investors would mean getting people who have visions.
The greatest challenge so far has been funding, because most times when you tell people the possibilities here, especially people who tend to see the business aspect, what they really see is the challenge with charging. That we don't even have electricity. Nigeria is only able to generate very low quantity commensurate with the large demand that is currently available, and most of which are domestic demand. So then where we see the limitation now in the project is in the funding for the charging infrastructure. So the challenge now is to actually get funding to set up these booths at strategic places. And then this is going to require individuals as well who have vision in that area. We've been able to talk with some people in that aspect, but then we've not sealed any deal yet. But that funding aspect is the major challenge, because it also affects our processes. Even though we have been able to streamline some of our processes, we're still not able to get sophisticated machines that allow us to cut production time.
Chukwuemeka's invention has made maintenance of tricycle cost-effective, as they have low maintenance and give zero emission. Chukwuemeka therefore pleads with the government to encourage creative young people like him to push the economy to a better place.
The difference between this and the regular one is the regular one uses gasoline. That's one. Then secondly, the regular one costs more to operate, because on the average, a driver who drives a tricycle, for instance, spends about 2,000 naira every day on fueling, which is equivalent with the same day that is equivalent to if the driver was using our electric version, he will spend 800 naira instead, which is over 60% cut in the cost. What Innoson is doing is something great, and that's something that we should encourage more people to come into. As a government, we could encourage young people to come into this by supporting them, if not even giving them money, but providing, making sure that the necessary policies and regulations are put in place.
While young people are equipping themselves with skills beyond the classroom and getting exposed to new and different career paths, this presents their efforts in transforming Africa. And that's all we can take on this episode on Startups. Thank you for watching. I am Tamilore Akinkolie. Bye for now.
Nigeria will be impartially governed according to the rule of law. We shall defend the nation from terror. We shall remodel our economy till fuel subsidy is gone. The central bank must work towards a unified exchange rate.
It's been 2 years now since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu made those solemn, far-reaching pledges when he was sworn in as the 16th President of Nigeria on May 29, 2023. Halfway through his 4-year term of office, President Tinubu is taking some of the boldest and toughest decisions that are now placing Nigeria on the sure path of genuine growth and progress.
I speak as a member of the Presidential Economic Coordinating Council, and I speak as someone who, from time to time, is opportune to have some conversations with Mr. President. His ruthless commitment and desire to see a transformed Nigeria is unrivaled.
I've known Mr. President now for almost 32, 33 years. He's somebody who likes to take bold step and bold move, and he's a visionary leader. These structural reforms which Mr. President did, really, you must give him credit. Even his own enemy will give him a credit, because removing total subsidy, making it an open market, for Nigerians to be buying at the market rates, and also doing the exchange rate on top of that. On top of that exchange rate, also doing the removal of subsidy to some of us in the high class in terms of electricity consumption, because 241% increase wasn't really a small thing. But all this have actually been absorbed by people without burning tires, without this, so it was actually accepted. And this has actually reduced the drain on government's resources. But on this one, really, I think Mr. President has actually done extremely very, very, very well. Because these were things that I thought they won't happen in our lifetime, but here we are.
Nigeria's economy was severely challenged when President Tinubu assumed office in May 2023. Revenue had fallen, with debt servicing taking about 90% of government receipts. Oil production had also fallen to a worrying level. the government had a mounting of foreign exchange obligations to deal with. There were fuel subsidy obligations running into trillions of naira.
Nigeria economy was on a cliff and in an intensive unit. And we weren't sure how soon it will fall. But when he came in, within a year, Nigeria moved out of the intensive unit, moved away from that cliff, and is now in a recovery position.
The economy was practically on the brink. Our external reserve position, particularly the net external reserves, were so bad that it was so difficult for us to fund our foreign transactions. It was so bad that the letters of credit issued by Nigerian banks in most cases were not honored by our correspondent banks abroad. So that created a major crisis in our external position. Then we had a major crisis with our petroleum downstream sector. We were spending anywhere between 10 billion to 15 billion US dollars importing petroleum products. So that created a major fiscal crisis. And as a result of that, we had a regime of massive printing of currency. At the inception of this administration, I think there was a currency printing liability was about 23 trillion naira that was inherited by this administration. And that had very serious implications for our macroeconomic environment, for inflation, for deficit. And to make matters worse, the printing of money was done in a manner that was completely not transparent. So it was a very, very bad situation that required urgent resetting of the economy.
2 years on, and with bold and sometimes difficult economic policies, the economy is beginning to turn the corner. Government revenues have dramatically increased, just as revenue to debt service has also come down to around 68%. States and local governments now get more allocations than ever.
That's why we've been able to push out economic growth that was the highest rate that Nigeria has seen in 10 years with what we did in 2024. And alongside that growth, we have seen other great indications. Reserves of close to $40 billion. Unencumbered reserve has grown by about $20 billion, which is from 3.99 to 23 billion dollars. Nigeria was able to pay its IMF debt, the one that was procured during COVID, $3.4 billion fully paid, leaving some items of interest rates and special drawing rights to be addressed. Even we have also paid down Eurobonds and of about $2 billion of Eurobonds that we paid in 2024. And the states in 2024 alone in 2024, the states paid down 32% of their total global loans.
Now I can tell you that as a member of the National Economic Council, for the past 9 months, NNPC has not brought any money to Federation account. We largely depend now on Federal Inland Revenue and Nigerian Customs and non-oil revenue as our major source of funds for Federation allocation and fiscal mobilization.
The courage that has been displayed by Mr. President is quite unusual in this part. The hard decisions that we've spoken about for God knows when, he's been able to confront those twin problems. First, with regards to fuel subsidy, gulping about $10 billion every year. So he came in day one, faced that head on, and then the issue of devaluation of the currency and floating it, ensuring that there's transparency and confidence built in the last few months.
Stability is fast returning to the foreign exchange market, and the country has just recorded a balance of payment surplus of $6.83 billion for the financial year 2024.
I would say that we are entering what you can call a stabilization phase of the economy. the kind of volatility that we experienced in the second half of 2023 up onto the second half of 2024, those volatilities are beginning to fizzle out. From the second half of 2024 up until now, we have witnessed a kind of normalization, especially in the macroeconomic environment.
Our Fitch ratings are up. The reforms in NNPC, the signing of the new Investment and Securities Act, several important pivotal reforms that globally and domestically, everyone can attest to the inflection point that is the Nigerian economy this year. Portfolio investment is up, FDI is also up. You know, we've been tracking his investment announcements from his presidential trips, over 30 of them, as at December 2024 was $50.8 billion. Our job is to make sure that those announcements translate into bankable investments that we see through. And so those discussions and dialogues have continued to be ongoing.
The revenue of government has gone up 60% in 2024 compared to the previous year. And that's the federal level. At the state level, the revenues to the states has doubled. So these are signs of the improvements in the government revenues as a result of the bold and courageous changes that were made that you have mentioned.
The measures we have taken so far in terms of orthodox monetary policies, we can see have begun to yield fruit. They have begun to yield fruit. We can see that attrition to reserves have been consistent. And at one point in time, may I remind everybody that we achieved the highest level of reserves in the past 3 years at one point in time. We've also continued to see inflation gradually beginning to decelerate. We can see that there's greater confidence in our markets.
What has happened under the solid mineral sector in the past 2 years is unprecedented as a result of the deep-rooted reforms of the Tinubu administration. Virtually all the metrics in the sector have changed. Investments are pouring in. At the last count, the government has attracted over $800 million in new investments to the sector. Among the new investments is a $600 million lithium plant in Kaduna State, and another $200 million refinery near Abuja, and 2 additional processing plants in Nasarawa State.
We have a policy of local value addition, which is also part of our 7-point agenda. And the idea is that for so long as we could remember, even before we were born, our minerals have been adjudged raw materials, and they've been extracted and exported to service the industries of developed societies. And so under the President Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda, we say no more. Now, we do not approve licenses from applicants who do not show us concrete plans of local value addition, which means you must process locally.
Revenue to the sector has also quadrupled in just the last 1 year. In 2024, the sector generated over 35 billion naira, up from 6 billion in 2023. And this is despite receiving only 18% of its 29 billion naira budget.
We created the mining marshals, which has become very popular and very, very effective in Nigeria. Now, in the last 1 year, because the mining marshal celebrated 1 year of its establishment a few weeks ago, and I reeled out these very positive and remarkable statistics. They've arrested over 300 illegal miners in 1 year of its operation. Over almost 150 are undergoing prosecution across the states in the country. And we've secured over 9 convictions, including foreigners involved in this nefarious activity. And this has really helped us to send a strong message and signal to the operators in this sector that it's no longer business as usual.
Some of the tough but necessary economic reforms of the government have not come without some difficulties for Nigerians. but the government has responded positively to ameliorate the situation. It's increased the minimum wage to 70,000 naira. It's also established the Consumer Credit Corporation with a provision of over 200 billion naira to make consumer credit more accessible.
Hitherto, Nigerians, especially the working class, find it extremely difficult to get money to buy cars, to build houses, to buy even household appliances. The President Bola Ahmed Tinubu thought there shouldn't be any reason why an average worker in Nigeria should worry himself because he wants to get some essentials of life. And so Credit Corp was established, and it's gladdening to note that it has done so well. So many Nigerians have been able to access that.
Another strategy to ease some of the fallouts of the economic reforms is the presidential CNG initiative launched by President Tinubu in October 2023 to facilitate the adoption of natural gas, a cheaper alternative fuel following the removal of petrol subsidy. Since its official rollout in May 2024, thousands of Nigerians and even government agencies have embraced the program, making the switch to CNG.
We've attracted $491 million of investment to auto CNG, which has created 9,000 direct jobs and 75,000 indirect ones. To this end, the Nigerian conversion capacity of vehicles from pure petrol and diesel to turn them to biofuel vehicles was also raised by almost 3,000%, with more than 200 new conversion centers established in this past year.
In addition to the CNG program, the government has rolled out and supported several other initiatives to cushion the impact of its reforms. There is the Presidential Conditional Grant Scheme, which provides cash grants to micro and small businesses. So far, over 700,000 nano businesses have received 50,000 naira each, while micro and small businesses have received ₦1 million each from the scheme.
The citizens have made a lot of sacrifice in the reform process. So there should be a way to ensure that the benefits of the reform trickle down better to the ordinary citizens. In other words, we need to democratize the benefits of the reform, because the citizens are still worried about the cost of living, especially the cost of basic things like food, the cost of transportation, the cost of health care, the cost of education. Those things are still big issues. So going forward, we want to see more impact, more efforts, deliberate efforts to ensure that the cost of living is reduced, so that we can make the whole reform process a lot more inclusive.
Determined to ensure every Nigerian who desires tertiary education is not in any way hindered by funds, the government launched one of the most consequential education initiatives in the history of the country. The Nigeria Education Loan Fund, NELFund for short, provides interest-free loans to students in tertiary institutions who desire the loan to enable them pay their fees and for upkeep. Beneficiaries of the interest-free loan are only expected to start paying back 2 years after the secured jobs upon graduation. The government has made available over 200 billion naira for the takeoff of the initiative.
This scheme was designed and introduced by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, whose vision it is to ensure that everybody has access to education at tertiary level, and those who are coming up to tertiary level have the hope that they can rise to the highest heights without having to worry about funds. So we've disbursed in institutional fees somewhere in the region of 30 billion naira. For the upkeep, we've disbursed 24 billion naira. So we have disbursed a total of 54 billion naira, and by our numbers, 293,000, so just short of 300,000 students have directly benefited, have directly received or should have received value from our disbursement.
The initiative is helping many young Nigerians achieve their dream of getting tertiary education, as funding is now no longer a barrier.
Today, no child can be denied access to higher education because he comes from a poor family. He wasn't born to wealth and privilege. Some countries in Africa have visited Nigeria to learn the mechanics of this program.
is a landmark program.
The passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill in 2021 set the stage for a revolution in Nigeria's oil and gas industry. That revolution is now beginning to happen under the watch of President Bola Tinubu.
Before this government came, and it's very fundamental, there were a lot of, companies that were divested. And as they were divesting, divestments were frustrated. But when this government came, we went around the world campaigning that come and invest in Nigeria. And the question was asked, the companies in Nigeria couldn't divest, so how can I bring my money to invest? If tomorrow I want to divest, how do I divest? And we told them that, look, this is a new government with a new direction. And so we have been able to successfully, allowed the divestments. The president, graciously approved of the divestments. And today, Nigeria's story has changed. And Nigeria is a country that you can bring your capex to invest and also divest as well.
For someone who has this experience, to see today an administration that allowed the Seplat Exxon transaction to go through successfully, I commend it. It's not me, Tony Miller or Holdings Group buying it. It's others, but I commend it. Those are the signaling effect people want to see, investors want to see, that brings them to invest in the country. And by the way, not just investors come to invest, financiers, because we need capital. Those who will release that capital want to make sure that where the capital is going to is conducive. So when you approve Seplat Exxon transaction that has been on the table since life started, it is telling, a signal. You don't need any CNN advertisement.
Investors are now showing renewed interest in Nigeria's oil and gas sector. In December 2023, French energy giant Total Energies committed to invest $6 billion in the country's oil and gas industry. Other IOCs like Shell and ExxonMobil have also demonstrated similar commitments in the region of $13 billion.
There are investments that have run into tens of billions of dollars. There is also another investment that is coming that is about $20 billion, but it's good for it to come. It is announced, when it is right, but we are very close. I believe that within a very short period, that announcement will be made.
The country's refineries are now coming back on stream. Together with the privately owned Dangote refinery and other modular refineries, they've helped to cut Nigeria's petrol import by around 50%. It's now only a matter of time before the country completely ends petrol import and safeguards foreign exchange.
Within no short period of time, we will have 1.2 million barrels of refining capacity. What that does is, of course, it makes us self-sufficient in petroleum products. It gives us the ability to export petroleum products efficiently, formally, legally, and profitably. But more important than that, along with that refining capacity comes the production of industrial raw materials from the adjoining and complementary petrochemical complexes.
Oil theft and other constraints still remain threats to the country's crude oil production target of at least 2.1 million barrels per day in 2025. But the government is not giving up on its projection.
Oil theft, was a major challenge as we came, but, with the collaboration of security agencies together with civilian contractors, we've been able to, reduce the oil theft. And that is why you see the increments that we've made, over the last 2 years. But we will continue to improve on what we have been able to achieve.
On security, I speak as a significant investor in the oil and gas sector in Nigeria. Our group, as Energies, we are the third biggest producer of oil in Nigeria today. We produce over 50,000 barrels of oil on a daily basis. In December 2021, I tweeted and I cried out because we will produce, and what we'll get at the end, when we put in the pipeline, we'll get 3%. of total production. And so we cried out and we shut down. We said it's totally unsustainable. We are working for thieves on the country. And that is a manifestation of insecurity. Now, fast forward to December 2024. Our recovery is 100%. What you put in the pipeline, you get at the other end. That's totally impressive.
At inception, the Bola Tinubu administration had inherited a total of 2,604 projects in the Ministry of Works from the previous administration, totaling 13 trillion naira. The figure would rise to 19 trillion naira following the removal of petrol subsidy and floating of the naira.
So the president, in fact, and of course the Federal Executive Council, directed that we should do prioritization. So out of these 2,604, we selected about 404 projects, major projects, review them, and they are all ongoing. And then the new projects of Mr. President under this administration is about 65. And of course, this 65, excludes the 4 legacy projects of Mr. President.
The 4 legacy projects are ambitious, gigantic, and transformative road projects. They are unprecedented in the history of the country and link the entire nation. And this is one of them. The 750-kilometer Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, which will run from Victoria Island in Lagos, southwest Nigeria, to Calabar in Cross River State in the south of the country. Work has since begun on the project, and its first phase, which is approximately 30 kilometers, will be commissioned in May.
Incidentally, it has 2 spurs. The first spur is, it was supposed to be Sokoto, Badagry, Sokoto, as, envisaged by the Shagari administration, about 45 years back. But the president, changed it to Sokoto, Badagry. 1,068 kilometers. Intention is that the Sokoto Badagry should start from Sokoto and Kebbi. And as we talk today, we have 258 kilometers by 1 carriageway going on at, Kebbi section. And we have 120 kilometers, going on in, Sokoto section. We are about to procure the second carriageway of 258 in Kebbi and 250 and the 120 in Sokoto. But this is a spur, of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. So, but the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, 750 kilometers of route, of course, it runs through, Lagos, to Gun, to Ondo, to Edo Delta, Bayelsa, Port Harcourt, Akwa Ibom, and the ending at Cross River. And when it ends at Cross River, the axis of Cross River now starts from there to the the 3rd legacy project of Mr. President, which is the Trans-Sahara, route, which is 462 kilometers. And it connects from the, Calabar end, going through Calabar to Ebonyi, to Enugu, to Benue, to Kogi, to Nasarawa, and ends in Abuja. And then it connects the 4th legacy project of Mr. President, which is 482 kilometers, which, starts from, Akwanga. If you look at the just concluded project of, Kefi to Makurdi, which is been told now, then from that Akwanga section, it gets to Jos. And from Jos, it gets to Bauchi, it gets to Gombe. So the entire 4 legacy project of Mr. President, if you look at the loop, it's all connecting the 6 geopolitical zone.
While work is ongoing with the legacy projects, inherited major projects are also receiving equal attention. Among them is a 700-kilometer Abuja-Kaduna-Kano highway.
I think Nigeria never had it, this good. And I want to say, with all sense of responsibility, that before now, past government has been building roads. But today, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is constructing roads. Because we are constructing roads that will last from 50 to 100 years. And the problem we've had in our road construction has been, poor design, poor construction, poor method of construction, and then lack of commitment on the side of all partners, getting things done. But it is no longer business as usual.
Across the 6 geopolitical zones, road projects are currently going on, overseen by a minister who is not only a core professional, but also passionate about executing the president's ambitious works projects.
There is no money anyway. The ones that we have, the president is judiciously using it very well. And I'm happy with his engagement in this legacy project, because foreign money is coming in at as low as 2.5%, So this legacy project has 30%, Naira funding, and then 70%, loan component. When a nation borrows to do infrastructure, that is the right borrowing. And I tell you something, these legacy projects are not just road projects, they're investment. By December, we would have finished Section 1 of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. Apart from the inherent benefits, we're also going to recover our money, return on investment under 10 years. We're going to be tolling it, So when we borrow to invest, when we recover the money we borrowed, we'll be able to pay back, and we also, it becomes also part of the wealth of the nation.
The issue of transportation, especially with the removal of subsidy, we must look at a cheaper way of transportation, and the railway system is the very cheap system of transportation. And he continued with what the previous government started, the railway system from Lagos to Ibadan, from Ibadan to Kaduna, from Kaduna to Kano, Kano to Daura, Daura to Katsina, Katsina to Maradi, Maradi to Jibia in Niger Republic. That project has continued. Work is going on now, and the AKK, Ajakuta, Kaduna, Kano gas pipeline, which is absolutely necessary for the industrial development, especially in those industrial cities like Kaduna, Kano. You see, that work is going on.
To address the housing challenge confronting the country, President Bola Tinubu, on assuming office, launched the Renewed Hope City and Estate Housing Initiative with a plan to build 100,000 housing units over a period of 3 years. That plan is now fully on course. Thousands of homes are currently being built across different states. The first set of houses will soon be handed over to successful applicants. Nigeria's perennial electricity challenge has for long defied every solution thrown at it. But after initiating some drastic reforms like the signing of the Electricity Act Amendment Bill 2024 and making huge investments, the government is gradually turning things around.
On 2nd of March 2025, Nigeria reached a remarkable generation available capacity of 6,003 megawatts, marking the first time this level had been recorded in the country's history. That is not enough. This achievement was followed by a peak generation evacuation of 5,801.44 megawatts on 4th of March 2025, which also saw an impressive daily energy output, the highest ever, 128,370.75 mega hours per day on that very day. We've always been in 118, 119,000 megawatts on a daily basis, but we achieved 128. That is the highest energy ever consumed in a day since power sector came to being in Nigeria, and we are proud to achieve this.
It took the country about 40 years to attain 4,000 megawatts of power, but with its reforms, this government has been able to add 1,700 megawatts to attain a peak generation of 5,800 megawatts in less than 2 years.
Now that we have created the trajectory, if we sustain this trajectory, I can assure you that before the end of this administration in 2027, the first 10 of this administration, 2027, we should be able to generate and distribute nothing less than 8,000 megawatts of power.
Investments are now coming into the electricity sector as a result of the reforms by the government. Many states now regulate their own electricity market. The government is also investing heavily on renewable energy to power communities across the country that are not connected to the national grid through the Rural Electrification Agency. While the electricity sector still faces a number of challenges, the reform in the sector is no doubt changing the narrative one step at a time. In the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, an infrastructure revolution is going on. The Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, and his team are bringing the president's ambitious aspirations for the capital to reality, one project at a time. In just 2 years, the number of projects executed and completed is mind-blowing. And they run across the entire FCT, covering both the city centers and satellite areas where many of the residents and indigenous people live.
The leadership Mr. President has shown is what has encouraged us to take bold decisions to say, we can't continue to be business as usual. We must do things in different ways. But before that, it was difficult because that leadership was not provided. And you don't want to go and take a decision where you're embarrassed by appointment. Nobody does that. So now we have seen that we have a leadership that's focused and said, it wants results. It does not want excuses. It does not want, oh, you see, people did it. No. He has confidence in you. He believes you have what it takes to support him, to achieve what he has promised Nigerians. So what is all this excuses that this happened, that didn't happen? So all we are doing is to continue for what we have stopped last year. Last year, it took us about 12 days, 13 days of commission of projects. This year alone, it's taking us 19 good days of projects that will touch on the life of the people, those who reside in the city and those who reside in the satellite center. It has never happened.
The projects are fast changing the face of Abuja. New bus terminals have sprung up in the city. New roads and bridges have been built, and more are still under construction. Satellite towns are now being opened up as genuine development is reaching underserved communities in the FCT. One of the key sectors President Tinubu prioritized on coming into office is the health sector. It's partly what informed his decision to poach Professor Mohamed Pate from the Global Vaccine Alliance Gavi and appointed him Nigeria's coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare. Almost 2 years on, and with the introduction of several reforms by the administration, Nigeria's once broken health system is now being fixed.
The investment that we have had in 2024 and here now in 2025 being planned for infrastructural upgrades. This country has never seen something like that. Let me give you an example. Cancer, which is a major issue that is emerging in our society. President approved for 6 major cancer infrastructural upgrades and equipment upgrades in 2024 in February. World-class radiodiagnostic centers in collaboration with NSIA, for instance. There are 10 major radiodiagnostic centers that are being constructed right now. The subsidy that the federal government provided for dialysis, for instance, for kidney patients. Federal government bought 10,000 dialysis commodities through centers all across the geopolitical zones of Nigeria to make it cheaper for patients that are dialysis dependent, and accelerated renal transplant centers. Sokoto had its first renal kidney transplant. Now Ife is coming along. There are others that are looking at that. We're now beginning to think of liver transplant, open heart surgery. There are many of those infrastructural upgrades. So the kinds of things that you are hearing from abroad, or you have to go to Egypt or somewhere else to get them, are beginning to be feasible here. My goodness, orthopedics, a major cause of people traveling abroad. My own father had a domestic accident, had a major fracture in his mid-80s, but he was fixed within a week in a public hospital in this country, and within 4 weeks he was already standing.
Anchored in the Nigeria Health Sector Renewal Investment Initiative, the reform in the health sector is fast transforming the country's health infrastructure, attracting over $3 billion in grants and investments. The government is investing massively to turn around the country's primary healthcare system. Existing primary healthcare centers are being upgraded. Over 8,000 new ones are now being built across the country.
So we set out to expand the primary healthcare system, to make it functional at level 2, to improve the level of functionality. So we embarked on increasing the functionality of 8,800 primary healthcare centers, and over time expanding them to 17,000 that are functional, so that Nigerians will have the retail points working between federal government, states, local governments, private sector, development partners to roll that going forward, to revitalize the basic healthcare provision fund. And in the last 2 years, we have had 6 out of the 11 ministerial oversight convenings of the basic healthcare provision fund that disburse resources to all the 36 states, to those thousands of primary healthcare centers that are called BHCPF facilities all across Nigeria, that receive on a quarterly basis disbursements for their fuel, for their running costs, for stipend for their health workers, for buying drugs and commodities for the patient that they see on the supply side. And with that, we're seeing of today 20 million contacts every quarter.
Beyond health infrastructure, the Tinubu administration is making healthcare easily accessible for all Nigerians. Today, pregnant women who require cesarean section can access the service for free at federal health facilities. Kidney patients can now get up to 80% subsidy on dialysis services at 11 federal hospitals across the country. And to address the manpower shortage in the health sector, the government has so far recruited over 2,000 doctors and nurses, as well as engaged 774 national health fellows across local government areas in the country. Over 600,000 health workers have also been retrained for better health services.
All in all, I think if you take the 2 years of this president's tenure is the midterm, I would say that we've turned around what was a very complex, underfunded, hyper-fragmented sector that underperformed relative to its peers to one that is being recognized in the continent and beyond the continent as one that is on a trajectory of much better performance and also is being touted as a leader.
Even though the president signed an executive order waiving import duty on health equipment, the government is also ramping up efforts on local pharmaceutical production.
By 2027, it is expected that 60% of health products, including personal care products, will be manufactured in Nigeria.
For over a decade, Nigeria has battled myriad of insecurity challenges, pushing the country to the brink. Learning from the challenges and successes of the previous administrations before it, and barring recent setbacks, the Tinubu administration is changing the narrative.
I think the most obvious thing is the commitment by the government. From the beginning, the president made very clear his commitment to address the security challenge, and this is manifested in different ways. First, in his renewed hope agenda, where he made security the second key priority, as it were. Then he also listed 8 elements that he put forward to address the national security challenge. Also, in terms of budgeting, we've seen a very steady increase, and in fact, an obvious increase in budgetary provision for the security sector. From what he inherited at about 1.something trillion to 3.6 trillion thereabout, which is the last budget, the 2025 budget. We've also seen his engagement with the security sector leadership. You recall that one of the first things he did after his swearing in on May 29, 2023, was to visit the Office of the National Security Advisor, and he also had meetings with some of the security sector leadership. So that commitment, I think, it's unquestioned.
In just 2 years, the security reforms of the administration are bearing positive results. Terrorist attacks are declining. At some point, they've reached their lowest in over a decade. Terrorism-related deaths are also coming down. Attacks in the southeast have now been reduced by almost 75%.
The last 2 years is watershed, indeed, in the fight against banditry. 11,250 hostages on record free, a decline we started witnessing the decline in abduction. Decisive blows to top warlords. The Kachallas, Ali Kachalla, Boderi, Halilu Sububu, Dangote, Isu, Yellow, Damuna, Buhari, all of them have met their creator. Over 50 of such leaders were eliminated. Over 70 of their deputies, commanders, and hundreds of foot soldiers neutralized. In the Northeast, Mr. President, where it all started over 20 years ago, the Boko Haram, the jihadis, over 13,543 terrorists and criminals neutralized since we came in. Over 124,408 Boko Haram ISWAP fighters and family members surrendered. Over 11,118 weapons recovered and destroyed. 52,596 rounds of assorted ammunition recovered and destroyed just in Borno State. Southeast, a welcome development is that the sit-at-home orders is becoming more and more ineffective. Key IPOP ESN figures capture and neutralize many in the battlefield. Over 50 police stations and many police forces are back in business. Attacks on security forces significantly reduced. Social and economic activities are normalizing. This can be testified by anyone who will visit the Southeast today.
Insecurity still remains a challenge in Nigeria, but the Tinubu administration is tackling it head-on with a clear focus and determination.
We will invest more in technology. We will take over all our forests. We must neutralize kidnapping, banditry, and terrorism. It was never like this before in Nigeria. But we will reverse the trend.
The aviation sector is not left out in the gradual transformation of the country as a result of the Tinubu administration's bold initiatives. Since he was appointed Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo has been leading the charge to transform the sector in line with the president's plan.
Through policy trusts, we have restored international and global confidence in the aviation ecosystem, especially in the leasing, global leasing world. We have brought back that confidence in the Nigerian ecosystem. And we have been able to do this, by instilling integrity in our system. And this was a fallout of our compliance, our strict compliance with the Cape Town Convention that we had been signatories to, but were very poor in adhering to the terms of that convention. And so it was public knowledge last year that we went ahead and took practical steps to comply with the tenets of the convention. We signed the practice direction in Nigeria, and then also rolled out the IDERA by the NCA. And these two actions by Nigeria catapulted Nigeria from 49.5% to 75.5% on the global compliance scale. And that officially is the highest in Africa. So as I speak with you, international leasers and financiers are back in Nigeria right now. And it's only a matter of time, not a long time, before Nigerians will feel the full impact in terms of newer aircrafts, in terms of lower prices, ticket prices, because it will lead to more competition, both on domestic, regional, and international routes.
The new international terminal in Lagos, built by the previous administration, is now fully operational. Plans are now underway for a complete remodeling of the old terminal. Several routes are now being opened for ease of connections across the continent and beyond. And some airlines that left Nigeria in the past are now back. Key bilateral air service agreements have been finalized, integrating Nigeria more deeply into the global aviation ecosystem, facilitating easier and more efficient air travel between Nigeria and other countries under mutual benefits.
We have been able to open up a number of routes again for our domestic airlines, and also to attract some other international airlines to ensure that traveling experience for Nigerians is enhanced and Nigerians have more options on some of these international routes. And so, of course, you saw the return of Emirates, the return of Emirates to the Nigerian domestic international routes. I mean, the return of Emirates to Nigeria, and Nigerians are beginning to enjoy that hub now in Dubai in their international travel. So, but there are other routes that we have been able to attract to Nigeria. You know, the Italian route had been closed for decades. Air Italia stopped flying to Nigeria many years ago. We've been able to attract another, international airline, and today we have opened up the Italian route again. We have also opened up the Algiers, Abuja, and Douala route, Cameroonian route. Before, it was so funny that you could not even take a 1-hour flight to Cameroon. I mean, it was so funny. And when I came to office, I said, how could this happen? Just 1 hour to Cameroon. You have to fly to Addis Ababa first and maybe spend one night before you now connect from Addis Ababa to Cameroon. Or you fly to Togo first, because Togo has a small hub there. And then from Togo, you now come and you start flying all over Nigeria. You'll be flying on top of Nigeria to go to Cameroon. That was how, odd it was in terms of connectivity. But today we have been able to attract that, and so on and so forth. So we have opened up so many other routes today in Nigeria.
Aviation infrastructure are also being improved upon. The long-delayed Abuja Airport second runway expansion is now getting off the ground. For the first time, the country now has the e-visa system for efficiency and ease of travelers as part of the immigration reforms of the government to strengthen the country's air borders. There are also 40 e-gates at all major international airports in the country for faster and more secure passenger processing. Passport application process is now fully automated, significantly reducing waiting time. Gone are the days of passport backlogs.
What we've been able to do is to introduce the contactless passport application system for, obviously, passport renewals. So, and that is live and direct. It was started in November. I think November 1st, we started last year in Canada. From Canada, we're able to move to Europe, and Europe excluding UK and I think Ireland. Then we were able to move to UK now, and Ireland now. We've moved to America, we've moved to Asia and other part of Africa as well. So it means that a Nigerian does not need to go to the embassy to renew his passport. Another major thing that we're also doing is to also bring a bit of to be serious integrity to our passport. And what do we mean? What do I mean by that? I'll break it into 2 or 3. Number one, when this government came on board, Nigerian passport was not registered on the ICAO PKI PKD. That's Public Key Infrastructure, Public Key Directory of ICAO. So it means that verification of Nigerian travel document was near impossible real time, in across all borders in the world, airports and whatever. So that's why when a Nigerian travels with a Nigerian passport, there's he has a more difficult chance of being attended to than a foreigner. But this particular, under this administration, for the first time, Nigerian travel document, the passport has been imported into the PKD ICAO directory. So Nigeria is now compliant. And I'll tell you that before this government came on board, we never had any, in fact, profiling at our border posts were basically subjective and never objective. Profiling wasn't based on the principle of objectivity. And you know that any decision that you make on the premise of subjectivity is likely going to be laden with errors. But this government came and we introduced what we call the API solution, which is the Advanced Passenger Information System, in terms of our air borders. So such a way now that before any passenger comes into Nigeria, we have the opportunity of pre-profiling such passengers, and we can easily identify persons of interest.
Successes have also been recorded in the agriculture sector. The government is driving a massive mechanization process to boost food production and security. Thousands of tractors and other agricultural inputs are being deployed to help farmers not only farm on a large scale, but also rapidly improve their yields.
Mr. President has transformed agriculture from potential to performance. And is, like I said, driven by mechanization to market access, from inputs to export driven. Saudi Arabian minister came last year, and he came and sought for 1 million tons of alfalfa and 1 million tons of soya and 200,000 tons of red meat. Today, we have already started that engagement, and that is a drive that was spearheaded by Mr. President when we all accompanied him to Saudi Arabia in November of 2023.
In its determination to combat food inflation, hundreds of thousands of hectares of land are being cultivated for wheat production across several states in the country. Over 100,000 farmers have so far been supported, and more agro-rangers are being deployed to provide security for farmers.
3 other programs that we have seen that has made an impact is the mechanization program of Mr. President. That is a wonderful legacy. We have, like I said, the GIP is also mechanization partly. And then the Greener Hope, which seeks to provide almost about 10,000 different implements, from tractors to harrows and other agricultural equipment over a period of 10 years. And that will also seek to set up about 1,000 service centers across the nation, and also to develop 150,000 hectares of land across the Federation, with 25,000 from each geopolitical zone. So over 6 and 25,000 makes 150,000. So those two, the Belarus tractors and John Deere, are procurement. The GIP and the Greener Hope are collaborative efforts. So we have already started receiving. Right now in Abuja, we have almost 700 tractors on ground out of the 2,000 from the Belarus. And very soon, Mr. President is going to launch those tractors.
The First Lady, Remi Tinubu, has taken a very keen interest in the agriculture sector and has been very supportive of efforts to make Nigeria food secure. In her quest to attract young people to farming, she launched the Young Farmers Club Nigeria in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security as part of her pet project, Renewed Hope Initiative. The Young Farmers Club Nigeria aims to revive Nigeria's indigenous occupation of farming, create employment opportunities, diversify the economy, and ensure food security.
Agriculture has always been the backbone of our nation. From time past, we have tilled the land with our hands and hearts, to the present, where agriculture continues to be a crucial part of our daily lives and economy. It is clear that farming is not just an occupation. It is a way of life which can create employment opportunities for a teeming young population, help diversify the economy, and put food on our tables. As I reminisce, I remember the groundnut pyramids and cotton plantations in the north, palm oil cultivation in the east, cocoa and rubber plantations in the west and the southern part of Nigeria. I believe all of these can be resuscitated and scaled up with modern techniques and mechanization.
So far, many young people across the country have signed up to the initiative and beginning to take to farming. Gradually, misconceptions about farming among young people are changing. There have been so many positives for the country in the last 2 years. Indeed, some of the reforms have come with initial challenges, but they are now being overcome, and light is beginning to appear at the end of the tunnel.
A lot has happened in the last few years that's commendable. I'll call it, these 2 years have been the years of reform. Going forward now,
The idea is to ensure that these reforms, the benefit of these reforms, really reach the people.
Let's do the hard work. And it will take time before the results become widely apparent. But we are seeing changes that are showing us that we are on the right track.
We have a unique opportunity under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration to compete with our contemporaries, our peers all over the world. You need home government support to compete. And we have it.
Nigeria is certainly on the rise. With the renewed hope agenda, the Tinubu administration is fixed.
In early March 2024, Professor Hongbo from Tsinghua University took our reporter for a special visit. 5 months earlier, his team had completed China's first clinical implantation of a wireless, minimally invasive brain-computer interface, or BCI. The bulge on Mr. Yang's head marks the location of 2 coin-sized BCI processors. They were implanted to collect neural signals from the sensory motor region of the brain, enabling body control through an external way. After a severe car accident in 2009, Mr. Yang was paralyzed and dependent on others for 15 years. Since the BCI implantation, subtle but meaningful changes appeared. Innovations in medical technology have allowed Mr. Yang in Beijing to once again feel the warmth of happiness. In today's China, newness is everywhere. Just how new is China? This is an industrial park in Hangzhou. The lights stay on late, but it's not the factory workers who are working overtime. In this 12,000 square meter factory, 16 production lines operate at high speed, replacing manual labor, increasing daily output from 10,000 to 50,000 units, and achieving a 99% pass rate. New technologies, fresh breakthroughs, and innovative products are continuously enhancing the competitiveness of Made in China.
China has been spending a lot in science and technology and innovations. And cooperation in that field is not only good for China, they are also very critical to us as China and South Africa as developing countries to cooperate in these fields so that we remain globally competitive. If you are not competitive, you'll always be a follower. We don't want to be followers, we want to be participants in this journey for new development.
Horgos Port in northwest China's Xinjiang is the country's largest land port for auto exports. Li Honghe is driving a domestically produced new energy vehicle to Kazakhstan, helping with the export process.
最多时候口岸送车的摆渡人有3000多名，平常都是1500名左右，都在这个6代国门周围等待送车。
Car ferryman is a newly emerging profession, directly resulting from the rapid growth of China's new energy vehicle exports. Over 4,000 kilometers away in Shanghai, 1,888 of China's NEVs are ready for shipping. In today's China, an NEV rolls off the production line every minute. In 2024, production and sales both exceeded 12.8 million units, keeping China at the top globally for the 10th consecutive year. Ismail Haki Musa, ambassador of the Republic of Turkey to China, is a devoted fan of Made in China.
I myself bought a car produced in China. I bought a cell phone produced in China. Chinese products made in China is becoming more and more popular in Turkey as well. This is true, but this is not only in Turkey. A regular observation throughout the world. Products made China more competitive, at a cheaper price, at a high quality.
From made in China to created in China, the innovative power of Chinese manufacturing is evident across the modern industries, not just on the road, but also in the air.
我们帕米尔高原呢也有一个机场，也是我们新疆高原机场，直接就可以坐飞机到我们的塔县来啦。
Tashkurgan County, located on the ancient Silk Road, has an average altitude of over 4,000 meters. A few years ago, Mika from southern China, born in the 1990s, chose to come here and invest in a guest house. The new Kashgar-Tashkurgan flight route is boosting local tourism.
我们开始当前的准备会。今天呢，我们直飞喀什到塔什库尔干航线，是个高原航线。
The aircraft servicing this route is China's self-developed regional jet, the ARJ-21. It's the first regular flight by domestic planes to China's ultra-high altitude airport. While the successful maiden flight of the C919 fulfilled China's large aircraft dream, the ARJ-21 is another milestone. It is China's first domestically designed medium short-range turbofan regional jet built to international standards.
一般的飞机通行这样的高原机场是不太容易的。我们211飞机飞塔什库尔干，飞机性能各方面是满足要求的。ARJ 211飞机现在的支线飞机的比例是越来越高。
Real-time data from the ARJ-21 aircraft is transmitted to the command center in Shanghai. Here, the aircraft manufacturer provides direct operational support to its clients.
这些边疆地区，你一旦用大的机型进去，你会发现飞机坐不满。这种支线机型的话，恰好弥补了这个空档。
2020年来塔县的时候，它是没有这种商业化、特别豪华的酒店。今年5星级这种酒店啊，它也入驻了塔县，房间每天基本上都会爆满。这2年发展是特别快的，肉眼可见的。
China has set the goal of becoming a leading innovative country with strong self-reliance in science and technology by 2035. Innovation in science and technology is driving national progress and benefiting the people. A 5-hour drive from Kunming, the capital of Yunnan province, lies Sangyuan County. After a weary long trip, Pan Jianbin finally arrived here. He and the medical team will conduct congenital heart disease screenings for more than 10,000 local children.
现在是有点大。
平时上体育课你追得上大家吗？
Tao, aged 12, was diagnosed with congenital heart disease during this screening.
明天我们准备给孩子做手术，我们就大概有个半小时，我们就把手术给他做完。
Congenital heart disease is the most common birth defect, with incidence increasing at higher altitudes. In Sangyuan, the rate is far higher than the national average of 0.7% to 0.9%, casting a shadow over local children and their families. Due to the remoteness, poor medical conditions, and the complexity of medical treatment, this family has already lost one child.
我们到昌岩大概2个小时，昌岩到临昌3个小时多一点，从临昌到昆明7个小时。过去的事我又不想提了，又伤我的心。失去一个，我再也不想再去失去第2个。
This time, doctors from Beijing have come to her, and the operating room is in the vehicle accompanying the medical team.
这个手术车就直接跟我阜外院的系统联系在一块了，很顺利，放了一个小小的封堵器，就把整个窟窿全部都堵掉了，也不用吃什么药，星期一咱们就正常上学。
Pan Jiangbin's team brought this new Chinese solution that treats heart disease without incision, radiation, general anesthesia, or intubation. It transformed heart surgery from major operations in big city hospitals into mobile treatments in villages. Even though the path is long and difficult, the benefits of modernization are making their way to reach every Chinese citizen and beyond. Pan's team is committed to treating every child with congenital heart disease, providing free treatment and regular follow-up visits. The team has trained thousands of doctors in over 30 countries. The ultrasound-guided intervention technology was selected by the United Nations as a global project, applied in more than 1,000 medical institutions across 60 countries, and has saved over 200,000 patients. Chinese doctors are using technological innovation to actively contribute to building a global health community. Modernization began in the 18th century in the West and remains a universal aspiration. Yet there are multiple paths to achieve it. China is forging a unique route characterized by peaceful, green, sustainable, and innovative development, harmonizing material and spiritual growth on the journey toward common prosperity. In Gulang County, which sits on the edge of the Tengger Desert in northwest China's Gansu province, villagers are rehearsing cultural programs to celebrate the upcoming 6th anniversary of their relocation.
给你们看看好多啥？照片啊！你看，这就是之前我们搬迁前我们山里的老房子。你能不能把那家的找到？这照片真是我的咋上的这。 我的老婆子围绕着的，老婆子这个穿的这个破烂子上。
Faded photos of the pre-moving days evoke Gulang's past as one of the poorest areas in China. In 2012, the local government relocated the impoverished people from remote mountains, helping them escape poverty. In their new homes, villagers embraced modern agriculture and animal husbandry tailored to the local conditions. Wang Zhongyi brought in the second batch of lambs for the day. After several rounds of haggling for prices, Wang Zhongyi sold 130 lambs at a fair price. Today, Gulang County is becoming a national sheep hub. Trucks of well-fed Gulang sheep are sent nationwide every day, generating annual sales of 8 billion yuan. Its sheep inventory remains on top in the province for 5 consecutive years. Everyone wants to live a better life. With industry supporting them, the villagers' lives are getting better and better. Coming from a major agricultural nation, Ambassador of Pakistan to China Khalil Hashmi finds China's people-centered approach to agriculture development particularly striking.
China has developed a very successful model of rural development, agriculture development. So I think what China has been able to do is also develop the technologies at scale, but also to develop seeds which can give you higher yield with less effort. So putting it all together, but working also in a very focused manner on rural areas. So developing and enabling, empowering rural communities. So this model, I think, has been defined by people-centered.
It is early summer, and the harvest season for wheat has arrived in Taihe County of Anhui Province. Zhu Zhongjiang and his grandson set off early in the morning to keep their appointment with another season of abundance. This wheat field is about 165 acres. 5 combine harvesters, equipped with Beidou navigation systems, completed the harvest in just 10 hours. Years ago, Xu Chongxiang dove into agricultural technology and increased the wheat yield per move from under 300 kilograms to over 700 kilograms, earning the title of Wheat King of Anhui Province. Now, in his 70s, he is still busy working in the fields. Through the cooperative he founded, he is actively promoting the model of large-scale farmers helping smaller ones escape poverty. Over 3,000 farmers have seen their average annual income rise from 16,000 yuan to nearly 30,000 yuan. In this country where food is of paramount importance, modern agricultural production not only needs to ensure that 1.4 billion people are well fed, but also fed well. At 5 p.m., preparations for the night catch of yellow croakers are underway. Workers strike the water surface to drive the timid yellow croakers into the fishing boxes, which will be harvested after dark.
10万斤大概一天100多啊。
On Chinese dining tables, 8 out of every 10 yellow croakers come from Ningde. Yellow croaker, a unique marine fish of China, has long been a delicacy for the people along the southeast coast. However, in the 1970s, Liu Jiafu experienced a heartbreaking event he calls the yellow croaker tragedy.
1974年春暖花开，5到6月份大潮水期间，本来是这个大黄鱼产卵的时候，结果没有鱼进来产卵了。
Overfishing once led to the near extinction of the wild yellow croaker in this area. At that time, Liu Jiafu, who worked at a local fishing farm, had the idea of saving the yellow croakers through artificial breeding. It was a difficult undertaking in those days. In 1988, Liu Jiafu submitted a report to the CPC Ningde Prefectural Committee about developing mariculture technology for marine fish in eastern Fujian. The then secretary of the Prefectural Committee, Xi Jinping, stamped a note of approval on the report. This approval document has turned yellow with time, but the determination to derive food from the ocean remains as strong as ever. Following this, Ningde continued to increase its research and development efforts and gradually expanded the scale of artificial yellow croaker breeding. Today, the yellow croaker has become the largest mariculture fish species in China and one of the most competitive export aquaculture products, with the entire industry chain generating over 10 billion yuan in value. Modernization of agriculture and rural areas is the foundation of China's development, but such progress should not come at the cost of damaging the ecological environment. As early as 2005, Xi Jinping, then secretary of CPC's Zhejiang Provincial Committee, proposed the important concept that lucid waters and lush mountains are invaluable assets.
The development philosophy embodies of this saying from President Xi, meaning that we have to find the balance or harmonize among economic development, protection of environment, and of course, for the benefit of the people and its culture.
In September, with temperatures dropping below 10 degrees Celsius, Guo Jianzhong and his colleagues set off as usual on their motorcycles. They are protecting the Ulan Suhai Lake, also known as the Pearl Beyond the Great Wall. It is the largest lake wetland in the Yellow River Basin and a rare large grassland lake in the world's desert and semi-desert area. As a bird sanctuary, one can catch sight of the white spoonbill, gray geese, and red-billed gulls peacefully resting. Today, around 260 species of wild birds live in the Ulan Suhai Lake Reserve, with over 200,000 wild birds coming here each year to breed. Today's lush grass and carefree birds at Ulan Suhai Lake make it hard to imagine that back in the 1990s, the water quality here once deteriorated to an almost unusable grade due to reduced natural water replenishment, coupled with the discharge of industrial, agricultural, and domestic wastewater from upstream. The lake's total area shrank from 800 square kilometers before 1949 to less than 300 square kilometers, forcing generations of fishermen to find other livelihoods.
能往这臭味，鱼也少了，鸟也少了。
资源钱交了，然后渔具买了，就没打成鱼。
A transformation occurred around 2019 with the pilot project for ecological restoration in the Ulan Suhai Lake Basin.
按照习近平总书记提出的山水林田湖草沙是一个生命共同体这样的一个理念呢，各个生态要素之间是互相联系、互相制约，也是互相影响的。以前我们是头疼医头，脚疼医脚，现在我们可能更多的还要关注乌梁素海整体的生态环境的变化、生物多样性的变化，以及整个乌梁素海流域的整体我们的生产生活方式的变化。
To reduce the encroachment of surrounding deserts on Ulan Suhai Lake, the local area has explored various sand control methods. One approach combines planting saxual trees with cultivating sistanch, the desert ginseng, integrating sand control with industry development, achieving both environmental restoration and prosperity.
这个梭梭树了，我们让它和肉丛中合理的寄生共生，哎，这就是一个和谐共生的一个理念吧。
Through relentless efforts into certification control, the entire Ulan Suhai Lake Basin has been rejuvenated. Annual sand output from the Ulan Bu Desert to the Yellow River dropped from 77 million tons to around 3.7 million tons, protecting both the lake and its surrounding ecosystem. Since 2000, China has contributed about 1/4 of the increase in global green space. A truly good life isn't just about a livable environment. It also needs to feed the soul. A rich inner life is just as vital as material wealth. The spiritual foundation of the Chinese people comes from the long and unbroken history of Chinese civilization, which is the wellspring of wisdom that fuels China's progress. How ancient is the history of Chinese civilization?
I declare the draft decision 43-8B.15 adopted.
On July 6, 2019, at the UNESCO World Heritage Conference held in Baku, Azerbaijan, China's Liangzhu ancient city site was approved for inclusion on the World Heritage List. This recognition signifies the international acknowledgement of the over 5,000 years of Chinese civilization as represented by the Liangzhu site.
I think the one word that comes to mind is spectacular. You know, it's really a marvelous find.
我们构成了一个证据链，证明良渚在5000年前已经进入到初期文明的社会，揭示我们的中华文明的起源、形成、发展的脉络，然后也让国人、让世界来了解。
Now, July 6th has become Liangzhu Day in Hangzhou. Liangzhu unveils China's authentic ancient roots and modern vibrancy to the world.
Buenas. La verdad es que ha sido una gran sorpresa al conocer las ruinas de Huangzhou, porque ha demostrado que es un patrimonio de un valor incalculable, de un valor mundial.
Knowing where we come from allows us to better understand where we are heading. The 5,000-year legacy of Chinese civilization remains vibrant today, enriching people's spiritual lives and driving Chinese modernization. It's seen in traditional style skirts, cultural heritage floral hairpins, crowded cultural venues, museums, and record-breaking shows. It's been carried abroad by chic national brands, viral icons like the Monkey King, hit films like Nujia, and globally celebrated Chinese festivals. In the 5th month of the traditional Chinese calendar, the Dragon Boat Festival is celebrated as expected. In Guangzhou's Daling village, vibrantly adorned dragon boats ignite waterways with competitive fervor. For the new villager Zhaotu, the rich cultural traditions of this ancient country fascinate him to no end.
我叫小兔，今年40岁，然后来自美国。其实我姓 Bunny，Bunny 就是兔子的意思。
At this museum in Guangzhou, Zhaotu can travel through time and immerse himself in the study of Chinese ceramics. Originally majoring in logistics in university, he has now transformed into an expert in ancient ceramic identification.
我认识的第一个 China 是什么？就是一个很珍贵的，只有隆重的节假日我们才能拿出来去用的一个瓷盘。然后我们刚好也就是用中国的陶瓷去把中国的5000年的故事给讲下来了。我觉得它会持续性的去影响整个世界吧。
Like Jiaotu, many foreigners are captivated by China's traditional culture, traveling from afar and becoming ambassadors of cultural exchange. Appreciate one another's beauty, create a world of universal peace and prosperity, coexist in harmony, and foster mutual benefits through cooperation are the principles rooted in 5,000 years of Chinese civilization, reflecting the simple aspirations, the ideal world, and the beautiful life that dwell in the hearts of the Chinese people.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it. Use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
The Altai Mountains span an elevation of 1,000 to 3,000 meters, with the highest peak, Friendship Peak, reaching 4,374 meters. The Altai Mountains stretch for over 2,000 kilometers across China, Mongolia, Russia, and Kazakhstan. The Altai Mountains in China are situated in the southern region of the central section, spanning a total length of over 500 kilometers. The Irtyx River, which is the sole river that flows into the Arctic Ocean from China, and the Ulunga River, the second largest river in Altai, both have their origin.
SDGs 新聞の取材に来ました。よろしくお願いします。
どうぞ座ってください。
ありがとうございます。金井さんではどのような SDGs に取り組んでいるんですか？
私のところではですね、今までプラスチックに入っていた鉢をプラスチックから古紙再生紙とかチップを使った器に少しずつ変えてきています。
白衣小5年の梅川さなです。細江春です。赤坂和音です。今日は SDGs 新聞の記者として商店街に行ってきます。 こ浅尾さんのところではどんな SDGs に取り組んでいるんですか？
当店では SDGs に関して取り組んでいることは、地元の食材を使ってお菓子を製造しています。
地元の食材を使ってお菓子を作ることでどのような SDGs に関わってるんですか？
そうですね、地元の食材を使うってことで、15番の、陸の豊かさを守ろう、材料を郵送する時に使う CO2、二酸化炭素の排出量が減ることによって、環境に優しい。
今日はありがとうございました。
金とかプラチナっていうのは本当に貴重な商品なもんですから、それをやっぱりリサイクル再生をして新しい商品にしていくということは大切な仕事取り組みだと思ってます。
金井さんはさ、14番と15じゃない？15番が土に帰るポットで、14がゴミレジ袋やね。浅尾さんのところやったら元の農家さんの思いを生かしてお菓子を作るって書いてあるから、住み続けられるまちづくりを入っとるんじゃないの？この新聞は金井さんのことを書いています。今までのポットはそのまま残って地球にマイナスなことをしとったけど、これは地球にとっていいことをしとったから、そういう驚いたことをいろいろ書いてみました。それぞれの思いとかがあっていろいろ工夫をしてやっているってことが分かったので、私も SDGs を身の回りでどんなふうにやっているのかまた調べていきたいなと思いました。相手の気持ちを考えたり環境に優しいものを作っとったり、これから私も積極的に SDGs に参加したりしようと思いました。
La estación de Junta está un poco alejada de la ciudad y se ubica en una antigua mina de oro. Uno sabe el montón de datos que existe, además de que se forma una red mundial.
We are on schedule with calibration.
You know the time I will send today.
Una explosión en cualquier parte del mundo, la red tiene que ser capaz de capturarla. La sismología lo que le va a decir es si es una onda típica de una explosión nuclear. El lugar se lo puede decir con más exactitud, el tipo de magnitud fue tanto, cantidad de kilotón fue de tanto, o sea, le va a decir eso. Ha habido mucho cambio de tecnología, entonces eso es uno de los objetivos del CTBTO, construir las capacidades de los países. ¿Y cómo se aprende? Con cursos.
I want to draw your attention.
Claro que nos ayuda en el trabajo de nosotros aquí. Todas las capacitaciones con programas de localización nosotros usamos para saber cuál es la amenaza que existe en el país.
We live in the global world with global issues, and global issue cannot be dealt with only a handful of countries because they traditionally deal with those technologies. And if you want an issue that's dealt with by the whole planet, you can have a forum where people sit and then a handful make decisions and others follow. And emerging countries, we need their participation. We need to educate people in this technology that lead to the verification of the CTBT.
Viéndolo en el país, uno se siente solo, pero sabe que es un grupo internacional que le está poniendo un punto final a las explosiones nucleares. Para el país es importante que se siga monitoreando y que quiere darle un fin a las explosiones nucleares. Queda uno contento que que está contribuyendo para el mundo, para la paz.
It's so far the largest single raid carried out by Nigeria's Economic and Financial Crimes Commission.
We have never seen this kind of industrial scale.
792 suspects arrested.
Their audacity is unrivaled.
The details are chilling and mind-boggling.
We also discovered that some of them were ex-convicts.
This was the height of massive cyber fraud in plain sight.
We decided to bust them.
Sometime in November 2024, Abba Sambo Usman, who heads the Advanced Fee Fraud section of the Lagos 2 Zonal Directorate of the EFCC, received crucial intelligence about a sophisticated cybercrime syndicate led by foreign nationals operating right in the heart of the Nigerian commercial capital, Lagos.
So following that intelligence, I brought it to the attention of my then Zonal Director, Mr. Michael Wetkas. So he authorized the commencement of surveillance to ascertain the veracity of the information that we received and to develop strategies for essentially combating the threat and executing a successful operation there.
The intelligence would be escalated to the highest level of the organization.
We processed intelligence and we realized it was actionable and proved that the intelligence should be investigated, and we set up our apparatus. Obviously, we monitored their activities for close to 3 weeks through our various tactical and surveillance operational approaches. And we confirmed that these guys were actually there, carrying out nefarious activities in violation of our financial crimes laws.
The intense surveillance would reveal a trove of shocking information.
They recruit their workers online and physically based on recommendation from the people already working with them. They get more other people to come. So once you are put through the recruitment process, which is to first of all test your typing skill and how fast you are in typing. Once you've passed the typing test, that is your speed is what fits into what they want, they recruit you. Once you are recruited, you are moved to the next line. The next line is a place where the supervisors will give you a new identity. At that level, they say, who is your name? And once you tell them your real name, they say, okay, from now henceforth, they give you a name, usually name of a female, and then you answer that name, and then they create a profile for you, and that profile has a lady's picture, beautiful lady, and then you use that particular name they had given you, and then they bump into foreign numbers and you commence communication with your would-be victims.
So it's people, when they employ you, all you have to do, the responsibility is to create fake profiles on dating sites. So they go to dating sites, get pictures of beautiful female or male, it doesn't matter, because the targets can either be male or female, as the case may. So the responsibility is to open 10 to 15 fake profiles per day. So when they're able to create those fake profiles, then it moves to the next level. They call them the developers. They are the ones that initiate the communication. The communication commences like normal romance relationship. So once they're able to develop that relationship, communication, when there is consistent communication with the victim on the other side, then they begin to introduce like a business idea. They begin to pretend as if they are into a certain type of investment activity, that this is what I'm doing and I'm making profit from it. Thus trying to sell the idea that there is something profitable taking place, that the other party at the other end can partake and make profit too. That is essentially how it takes place. So once that communication has been established and is going on well, the Chinese or the foreign syndicates take over. So it is there, they have dedicated a website where they point they send or direct the victim for the investment. So once the investment is made, they defraud the person, and then because they have taken over the communication, our Nigerian syndicate members don't have any idea of how much was defrauded or exactly where the money went to, essentially creating a kind of buffer. If they are arrested, then they don't have any information as to actually how the real fraud took place.
In the evening of Tuesday, December 10th, 2024, just weeks after the reception of the intelligence, EFCC personnel in an operation codenamed Eagle Flush launched a surprise raid on the building where the syndicate had been operating from. It's an imposing 7-story complex known as Big Leaf Building on number 7 Oyejolayemi Street, Victoria Island, Lagos. The syndicate had clearly been operating in plain sight.
First of all, we discovered that quite a number of them were foreigners. From Asia, from Eastern Europe, from Northern Africa, and their modus operandi is something that was a bit strange or different from the regular Yahoo, activities that we are used to, the regular internet, fraudsters that we are used to. We discovered that these guys came in with a mind of using the identity of Nigerians to perpetrate their crime. And it's mind-boggling that we discovered that about 194 of them, now from various countries. So they formed the syndicate. If it were to be just a group of people from a particular country, that would have followed the normal trend, pattern that we are used to. Now, all these people were able to get themselves together from various continents, and now they are able to create that criminal cell in Nigeria was quite mind-boggling. Another thing that we also discovered was that it's not just only Nigerians Nigeria that they are operating. They are operating in other countries in Africa. They are operating in other parts of Europe. They are also operating in other parts of Asia. So those are things that we were able to discover. And also we discovered that the propensity of their activities being linked to financing of terrorism, that's also another mind-boggling area that we are also looking at.
You look at it, the place was located at a very highbrow area. And if you look at that building at number 7 Oyejolayemi in Victoria Island, Lagos, you think it's a financial institution, you think it's a bank. So anybody who was recruited in that place was likely to think that he had a very, very profitable and legitimate venture. So most of the Nigerians, that was what they thought they were into, but just to later discover that it was something else.
I am surprised in the sense that they have the audacity to set up such a big cybercrime operation in the heart of Victoria Island in Lagos. But the issue of being in plain sight, it is actually not in plain sight. They have taken steps to cover their track that if you don't actually know, you will never know that that is what is happening. Now, in the building that they rented, the fence, they used some metal sheets to cover the whole of the face of the building and painted it black. There is no one walking across the street. You look to the side of the building, you will get an idea of what is happening because it's completely blocked. Now, they have a hostel where they house the Nigerian cyber criminals. They ferry them from that location in buses that have tinted glasses. So they will move them from the hostel, check them into the premises, and then they proceed to their office. Just walking by, anybody casually walking by would never know that that type of criminal activity is taking place. And I think the main reason why people got to know is because they are always looking for new employees. So because people come to take the test, so that's how the word began to go around that this is happening in so place. So it's actually in plain sight, but it's pretty much concealed that the ordinary person on the street will not actually know.
In all, 792 suspects were arrested in Operation Eagle Flush. They include 148 Chinese, 40 Filipinos, 2 Kazakhstanis, 1 Pakistani and 1 Indonesian. The others are Nigerians.
For us to discover that a syndicate of such a large number was operating in an environment, going in and out, I mean foreigners for that matter, every day was a bit of a surprise for me. And nobody alerted us until, we got actionable intelligence by ourselves and we acted on it. So whichever way you look at it, I think it was something that actually got the nation jolted, as it were, and also got us jolted. Because you discover that nowhere has such number of arrests been made in one single operation.
Our blockchain analysis of the activities revealed that their funding was coming from another fraudulent activity. We discovered that there was one Conti.iv in that particular scheme. It's a foreign scheme. It was done abroad. And then our investigation revealed that in that scheme, they had raked in over $97 million. And then it is from that fund that was sent to a particular wallet. And then in USDT, digital currency. And that money came in, and then it was cashed into fiat currency here in Nigeria. And that was what they used to establish the business in Nigeria.
Most of the funds were received using cryptocurrency. It's a team that worked on that. Despite their best effort, I don't think they will be able to uncover exactly the total amount of funds that were defrauded. What I learned from the informant is that if the team has succeeded in defrauding any victim, a bonus is usually shared. And then if it's the hit is actually big, the bonus will be given to virtually everybody. They are shared in different floors, different wings. So they just share the bonus to them.
Operatives of EFCC combed the entire floors of the complex, retrieving a trove of evidence confirming this was a sophisticated international crime syndicate with elaborate infrastructure in place being used to carry out their crimes.
They've been attacking our telecoms infrastructure. They have their base station. They came with about 2 base stations that we discovered. We have confiscated them, where they can make calls here with to an American line, and you will see they are calling from US. Yeah, you think that call is initiated, is generated from US itself. You know, when you are making an international call, that's a way they think. But with their own, if you call you think they are in US. Yes, we confiscated over about 260 something foreign lines, over 500 Nigerian ATM telecoms card, SIM card, activated, ready to be used.
We saw that they were using over 1,500 desktops to perpetrate this. And we also stumbled on over 400 mobile phones they were using for this. We also discovered that they were using over 3,000 SIM cards. So their modus is, once you get those victims, those numbers were bombed, and then you've started communicating with the numbers, with the people. They start cajoling them into romantic conversations, and then get their attentions. And once you get their attention, you now tell them about this phantom business or investment platform that they offer. And then they ask their victims to register on their platform, which is www.yoto.com. So once you register on that platform, you're already part of them. It's assumed that you are into investment with them and everything. But for you to register on that particular platform, you have to pay some money. It is from $35 upward, $35.50. So you can just imagine bumping like maybe 100 people per day, and maybe even if you end up with about 50 or 20 per day, and you are you raise that kind of registration fee, it's a lot of money over time. So, and that was their modus operandi. They were using impersonation, particularly to achieve what they were doing. And then they were also changing their location through an advanced VPN technology, where they can choose to tell you they are communicating with you from London, from Germany, from Italy, or wherever. It is a deeper look that you now discover that all these communications are coming from Nigeria because the IP addresses are indicating Nigeria, thereby destroying the image of this country, damaging our image internationally.
They have some foreign females whose pictures that they use in the building. If there is a need to chat with the victims, those females are there whose pictures have been used in the profile. There is a phone line that is linked to each desktop computer that is used in the fraudulent activity that they can use to direct the communication. They have studios set up with ring lights inside that gives the proper ambience or vibe, as we may say in our street slang, that this lady is real, that you are talking to a person who is real. And there are also formats that we have encountered within the building, directing people how to start the communication, what name to use, which county to pretend that you are from, in order to win the confidence of the victim that is on the other side. It's really organized. One doesn't need to have any background in cybercrime or this street criminality for one to be able to succeed. All one has to do is to follow those instructions. There is day 1, this is what you tell him. Day 2, this is what you tell. Day 3, very much organized. Very much organized.
All the suspects would later be moved to the EFCC Directorate in Lagos for proper profiling in preparation for the arraignment in court. But managing the sheer number of the suspects was no mean feat.
Despite the fact that we may have made some operational plans, but the operation, because of the large number of people, over 700 or getting to almost 800 people were arrested in one instant. And then when you have like that large number of people, how much number of operatives do you need to have on ground to control that large number of people? And knowing us Nigerians, who we are, and the potential for us to become unruly when we are in large numbers. So it was really something that I will forever cherish, kind of, with the challenge that we face and how we were able to overcome it.
Many of the suspects have since been taken to court on charges bordering on cybercrime, cyberterrorism, identity theft, among others. Over 100 of them, all foreigners, have now been convicted and sentenced.
Actually, as of 25th of July, about 183 have been convicted. 183. We just have about 7 left. And even out of the 7, 4 have applied for plea bargain and all of that. So we have recorded the substantial resources in the prosecution. Yes, we also had some assets forfeited, some virtual assets, crypto assets worth about $200,000. Also, we have been able to secure the the forfeiture of over 1,500 computers and over 4,000 mobile phones. Over 4,000 mobile phones that were confiscated from these people. So you can imagine the extent of these nefarious activities being carried out by these folks. So by and large, we have recorded substantial success in this investigation and prosecution. And I think without being immodest, it's a world record.
As it is now, there are some that are proceeding to full trial, those who have chosen to face and defend the charges against them. And there are some that have chosen to plea bargain. So those who have chosen to go for the full trial are undergoing their trials. They are having their days in court. Those who have chosen to plea bargain, we have disposed of that, and there are still some more in the queue.
Before anybody would want to go into a plea bargain, you must be certain that you have done your work absolutely to the best of your ability, and that the evidence that you have presented
are compelling to the extent that they feel that it will be a waste of time for them to go to a full trial. And that is the situation that we find ourselves in. We were able to gather enough evidence to confront them with, and all of them know that they are mostly involved in this crime. With the evidence that you have, a number of them just felt there was no need stretching the legal process, and they came up to plead guilty to the charges that were filed against them.
With the convictions comes a sense of fulfillment for the officers behind the landmark operation.
I am fulfilled because all the effort that we have put into this work is finally yielding result. First of all, it's sending a clear message to the foreigners who are luring our youth into this type of activities that it cannot be tolerated. Secondly, the youth too are also learning that partaking in this criminal activity will not help them, hence making them to change their trajectory into something that is more positive. So if you look at it and the perception across the globe about Nigeria, now it creates the sense that Nigeria is actually doing something to get rid of this type of criminal activities. So I am fulfilled. We have put a lot of effort. We have not let our chairman down. We have brought honor to all the promises that he has made to help Nigerians to fight this type of criminal activities are fulfilled before his very eyes.
Now with this investigation and with the success rate of the prosecution, and the whole world should know that Nigeria will not tolerate such nefarious activities. Nigeria will not be allowed itself to be turned to a safe haven for these criminals. And EFCC will do everything possible to get them at any time, anywhere, and will expose their nefarious activities and ensure that they are prosecuted.
Eagle Flush was not just an operation. It was a powerful statement by Nigeria's anti-graft police that there will be no hiding place for cyber criminals in Nigeria.
It's one of the great landmarks of the EFCC airport, because out there, the impression that people are having globally is that it is only Nigerians that are perpetuating internet fraud, that are perpetuating all sorts of financial and dubious thing in Nigeria, in the name of Nigeria. But here we are arresting over 700 people involved in this financial fraud. This is a commendable effort, and we can only give our moral support to this nationalistic work that the EFCC is doing.
For foreigners especially who believe that cyber criminality in Nigeria is a Nigerian affair, this operation has
SDGs 新聞の取材に来ました。よろしくお願いします。
どうぞ座ってください。
ありがとうございます。金井さんではどのような SDGs に取り組んでいるんですか？
私のところではですね、今までプラスチックに入っていた鉢をプラスチックから古紙再生紙とかチップを使った器に少しずつ変えてきています。
白衣小5年の梅川さなです。
細江春です。
赤坂和音です。今日は SDGs 新聞の
記者として商店街に行ってきます。ここ浅尾さんのところではどんな SDGs に取り組んでいるんですか？
当店では SDGs に関して取り組んでいることは、地元の食材を使ってお菓子を製造しています。
地元の食材を使ってお菓子を作ることでどのような SDGs に関わっているんですか？
そうですね、地元の食材を使うってことで、15番の、陸の豊かさを守ろう、材料を郵送する時に使う CO2、二酸化炭素の排出量が減ることによって、環境に優しい。
今日はありがとうございました。
金とかプラチナっていうのは本当に貴重な商品なもんですから、それをやっぱりリサイクル再生をして新しい商品にしていくということは大切な仕事取り組みだと思ってます。
金井さんはさ、14番と15じゃない？
15番が土に帰るポットで、
14がゴミレジ袋やね。
浅尾さんのところやったら
元の農家さんの思いを生かしてお菓子を作るって書いてあるから、住み続けられるまちづくりを入っとるんじゃないの？
この新聞は金井さんのことを書いています。今までのポットはそのまま残ってなんか地球にマイナスなことをしとったけど、これは地球にとっていいことをしとったから、そういう驚いたことをいろいろ書いてみました。
それぞれの思いとかがあって、いろいろ工夫をしてやっているってことが分かったので、私も SDGs を身の回りでどんなふうにやっているのかまた調べていきたいなと思いました。相手の気持ちを考えたり、環境に優しいものを作っとったり、これから私も積極的に SDGs に参加したりしようと思いました。
La estación de Junta está un poco alejada de la ciudad y se ubica en una antigua mina de oro. Uno sabe el montón de datos que existe, además de que se forma una red mundial.
We are on schedule with calibration.
You know the time I will send today.
Una explosión en cualquier parte del mundo, la red tiene que ser capaz de capturarla. La sismología lo que le va a decir es si es una onda típica de una explosión nuclear. El lugar se lo puede decir con más exactitud, el tipo de magnitud fue tanto, cantidad de kilotón fue de tanto, o sea, le va a decir eso. Ha habido mucho cambio de tecnología, entonces eso es uno de los objetivos del CTBTO, construir las capacidades de los países. ¿Y cómo se aprende? Con cursos.
I want to draw your attention.
Claro que nos ayuda en el trabajo de nosotros aquí. Todas las capacitaciones con programas de localización nosotros usamos para saber cuál es la amenaza que existe en el país.
We live in the global world with global issues, and global issue cannot be dealt with only a handful of countries because they traditionally deal with those technologies. And if you want an issue that's dealt with by the whole planet, you can have a forum where people sit and then a handful make decisions and others follow. And the emerging countries, we need their participation. We need to educate people in this technology that lead to the verification of the CTBT.
Viéndolo en el país, uno se siente solo, pero sabe que es un grupo internacional que le está poniendo un punto final a las explosiones nucleares. Para el país es importante que se siga monitoreando y que quiere darle un fin a las explosiones nucleares. Queda uno contento que está contribuyendo para el mundo, para la